everybody. Welcome back to Suspenders Unbuttoned podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Julie, and we're excited to welcome back Andrea Brooks. Welcome back, Andrea.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we're so excited to have you back. It's been a while, I think almost a year. So lots to catch up on. And you had a really fun season 12 on One Calls the Heart. So we're excited to talk to you.
Yay. I haven't done many any podcasts actually this season. I sort of took a nice healthy break with the baby. So yeah, there's lots to talk about.
All right, well, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Exciting. Okay, so Faith has had quite the journey throughout the seasons. How do you feel about her development since you've been on the show? Like, so where is she now in season 12?
I always say I feel like I grew up on this show because I started as a young 20-something, and so did Faith, a young keen nurse. And all these years later, I've matured and a lot of life has been lived, and for myself and for Faith. And this year, I was so excited to be able to flex the medical muscles, because so often on this show something happens, but we kind of wrap it up quickly and then focus on the positives after. We don't really get into the medicalized drama, and I love that. I grew up watching Dr. Quinn, and I was just so thrilled knowing that we were going to do that, and that it was going to be a little bit dark, and it was going to involve a beloved character. So knowing that from the get-go of the season, I was looking forward to it. And I can honestly say I was elated when I started reading the scripts and figuring out the direction that we were going to take it. And it wasn't going to be something that was going to be wrapped up with a pretty bow right away. And I also love that it matches. There's a lot of historical accuracy in this storyline. I mean, there's liberties taken in every show, but this is something that was developed in Canada, and we're really tying it together nicely. And a lot of research has been done, and that's always really exciting to me. And I was just so thrilled to bring that storyline to life with, my friends, and getting to see Amanda flex her muscles as well on this show with her pharmacy background. And it was really, really special.
Yeah. As someone who works in critical care at a children's hospital, this storyline is the drama that needed to happen. I love that it's a Canadian storyline, and Faith as the doctor in Hope Valley. You really did get to be part of the very dramatic storyline. There's a point when Faith has to give this diagnosis to not just people or patients, but these are also friends and important to her life. So you talked about being excited for the drama. So what did you want viewers really to see when you were delivering that diagnosis?
I just wanted, I feel like I know this audience so well, and I knew this was going to hit hard. And I wanted to feel every ounce of the emotion. And it was easy. I was 9 months pregnant doing this storyline. So the emotions were pretty easily accessible because, in that state, everything's heightened. But also just getting to see my friends on the show, my fellow actors on the show, play out this storyline in dramatic fashion. It was dramatic for everybody. We have a life on the line. It's absolute uncertain times. And it's fun because so often on the show, I always say I love doing the group scenes and the dinner scenes, and we have so much fun and there's so much levity on our show that it's really neat to see all of a sudden the weight come down, and we have everyone delivering such amazing performances left, right, and center. And I have to give a shout out to Highland. He was so fantastic. This was a tough couple episodes for him, and he really, really focused, and he was brilliant.
Highland blew his all away, really, for such a little guy. I mean, oh my goodness. Can you think of some stories from set that maybe with, working with these really hard, difficult storylines with him?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Peter DeLuise directed the last 2 episodes, and he's hilarious. He's a really funny, comedic type, and he's always kind of bringing things up when we need the energy. And working with Highland, we obviously didn't want it to be super dark. So we were in the bed. He was like, I tooted. Like he was being silly in between, all kind of amping that up. You know, he's a little guy, and these hours are long, and he had a lot to do. And so in between, I feel like we brought it up, but then when we needed to, we just sort of brought it right back down when we needed to film. So by no means was it dark the whole time. There was a lot of jokes flying and a lot of like, Andrea, is your water gonna break jokes happening, because that was a reality that could happen. It didn't, thank goodness. One of our ADs, Andrew, who's been with the show forever, he had a son. His wife gave birth about a month before I did. And so he had to go away for a little bit and then come back and finish up the show. And so after that experience, that was his first kid. He saw me walking around. He was like, oh my goodness, my wife gave birth early. Like this could happen. And if we don't get this scene, like that's not going to match. And we could maybe do this one by phone call. But if we miss this day of shooting, we're going to have to do reshoots. Like his brain was just going. And I was just like, don't worry. I feel fine. And meanwhile, everyone's like, you look like you've dropped. And I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Well, so yeah, there was a lot of jokes and levity and crazy things happening in real life, but it is kind of the cool thing about shooting these dramatic moments, or dramas, if you're doing a drama, is you can keep it light, but then when the cameras roll, everything clicks in and everyone's just kind of dialed in.
Yeah. Now, before we went live, we started talking about what were they going to do if you actually did go into labor before you finished the scene. So do you want to tell that story?
Sure. So early on, Mags, that's he's kind of the boss of our behind the scenes, the crew boss in a way. He's responsible for being a liaison between the producers. He's there every day, stressful job. He told me early on, he's like, we're going to shoot you out early. So you've got the most days here in this block, but we're going to put all the Faith stuff early just to be cautious. And I was like, great, sounds great. And the script was changing up until the final hour because they were making a lot of different decisions and there's a lot of detail and whatnot. Things were changing. And then I started looking at the schedule and I'm like, why am I shooting up until the very last day? And then I'm getting calls from my doctor saying, oh, well, your baby's measuring really big. I have very big babies. We don't want you going past 39 weeks. And I'm just sort of doing the math here. And then there was our schedule did get bumped a little bit throughout the season. There were a few extra little breaks that happened. So each time that there's a pause, the shoot dates just kind of push forward. So everything was kind of matching up in a way that I'm like, okay, if everything goes according to plan, we're fine. But if anything happens and this baby comes early, being a third baby, I was like, I will have to leave set. And we had a plan. Our drivers are fantastic. And we're like, okay, Shauna will drive you to the hospital and Langley, it's this amount of time away. Like it was down to the wire. So we were holding our breath. And I have a video somewhere. Actually, I think Pascal might have sent it to me of when I wrapped and I basically started crying because I didn't know if I was going to make it. Each morning I'd wake up, I'd get a text, be like, are you in the hospital? No. Okay, good. See you at work.
Did you have a baby or are you working?
Totally. Everyone was just hanging on, just hoping. But sometimes that's the weird thing about film is you can make a plan. Like, okay, we're going to shoot Andrea out early, but things happen, schedules change, storylines change, and everything's in flux. I always say filming a TV series is like a juggling act. And sometimes there's just no other way. So I shot up until the last day, and I think I shot up until the second last scene.
You make great plans and then that's not what happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it was such an important storyline for Faith to be involved in.
I didn't want to phone it in either. I really respected this storyline. I was so excited for it. And, I wanted to do it justice. And they were very lenient with me because I was so close to having my baby and I had a lot of monologues, a lot of medical terminology, and they were very kind. They're like, okay, if you have to take it back, no problem. I wasn't under that same pressure that we often feel on our show, which is like, go, 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 go. Yeah. Peter was very kind. He's like, it's okay. You missed this line. And yeah, I feel like everyone was treating me with like the special gloves. It was kind of nice.
Yeah, as they should. Yes. My goodness. Did you have a favorite moment from, those 2 episodes where we're dealing with the diabetes? Like, because I had a favorite moment of Faith. So I'm curious what your favorite moment might be.
I really did love the scene, and it wasn't even my body. It wasn't even me portraying half of this part, but I loved walking up to Elizabeth's row house and then turning around like I didn't want to deliver the message. Very simple, no words. But just that conflict, that inner conflict that I got to play out, which is this is a close friend and a patient, and that conflict that a small town doctor would encounter. I really like just being like, I really don't want to do this. And then, well, I have to do this. Like that little struggle. And shout out to my lovely body double, Christy, who's doubled for me over 3 pregnancies. She was great. She watched me do it. I told her what I wanted to do. We decided to do a little turn and then a little look up. And she matched it beautifully. So got to watch it. Your body experience.
You dropped that little you dropped a little video of that.
I put the video on my Instagram. It was just so fun to get to actually stand back and film Faith performing a pivotal moment, but it wasn't me.
Right. But you know what? You nailed it. So I get to watch that moment play out in real life. And there is this moment of collection and thought. And so I think you really did justice to that moment, to Faith and her journey. And then on top of that, it's not just the Faith's friend and patience, but Faith is also parenting Lily at this point. Yes. And Lily and little Jack are friends. Don't you think that is impacting Faith a bit too? Like,
oh, 100%. I was actually hoping that there was just so much that had to be wrapped up in the final 2 episodes, but I was really hoping that there could be a moment where maybe Lily was asking what's going on, because that would be an interesting conversation to have to go through that as a doctor, as Faith, for your friend, for your patient, and then to have to come home and kind of rectify everything for a child. I think that just adds an extra level of complexity. So I was thinking that would be really nice. But I mean, diabetes is not going to be a curable disease at this point. The storyline is going to play out. So I think there is room for more of these interesting conversations to be had going forward.
Yeah. I mean, it could even happen in the next season where we left Jack not being in Hope Valley. So Lily certainly have questions about that. And I think that fans were hoping for that kind of scene as well. Like, well, where's Lily? We haven't seen Lily, and
I know
reacting to this. Yeah.
And the cast is so big. There are so many storylines now. There's so much going on, and their schedules going every which direction. Chloe's super busy. She's such a fantastic little actor, and she works a lot. So it's not uncommon for a lot of our kids or actors, just people on our show, kind of bouncing around doing episodes of other things while we shoot, because it's a long 4.5 months. There's often a lot of other projects going on. So again, part of the juggling act.
Right. It's fun to watch it all play out. And diabetes, we are 100 years later, and insulin is still how we treat that. And still, that discovery was such a, it's really a big iconic moment in medicine, and it came right out of Toronto, Canada. So it's a wonderful discovery and movement forward in treatment of diabetics that became not a death sentence because of insulin. So it's such an important story to tell, and brings a lot of drama. But you're right, it's going to come forward, and it's going to keep Faith involved. But Faith and May really got some great scenes. You and Amanda had some fantastic scenes because it was complex. Insulin's not available. It's just been discovered. And
and the trials happening not involving children, and having to fight for that, but also not knowing if that is the best course of action. Like a very multi-layered dynamic to get to play out, because no one has the answer. So often in scenes, I remember training as an actor when I was younger, and the consensus was often like, in a scene, one actor should win. Someone wins every scene. Someone walks away, and I'm like, this is an example of a scene where nobody really wins because there is no answer. This is just a process of discovery, and there's a lot of fear and panic involved that everyone's trying to keep at bay, and that makes the stakes quite high. And anytime you have high stakes in a scene, I find it very fun to play.
Also, it was nice to see the collaborative practice play out. Well, they did that. That is very normal in healthcare, collaborative practice with the healthcare team, and your healthcare team in that town is Faith and May.
Mhm.
And really, you're right. This is during the discovery of insulin and first giving it. This is not once insulin's been manufactured or anything yet. We're actually not there yet in the storyline. And
Yeah.
so they're still making it at the University of Toronto and just getting it out as they can.
Yeah, and having to figure out the temperature and keeping things cold and when things stop working. Like, yeah, very much still a process of, and for a small little community like Hope Valley that's not really equipped for this, it really throws everything up in the air.
Did you know that you still have to keep the insulin cold?
You know what? I didn't actually know that. I knew that for back in the day because I've done so much research, but I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, it still comes to us cooled, has to come
Wow.
temperature controlled. And it can't freeze. This is the other thing. Like, so for Toronto or anywhere in Canada, or we're both in the northern United States, both in cold weather areas, if it freezes, it's completely no good. So that's another thing that could be thrown out as a storyline.
Wow.
So that temperature thing, so it loses potency over time when it's warm.
Yeah.
But they can leave it out. You can leave it out at room temperature for 28 days now. But then they couldn't at first because it wasn't a clean insulin. That vial was not pure.
That is so fascinating.
So there were still some enzymes and stuff in there. So anyways, it would have been a problem. Like decreasing a potency would have been a real problem. And so it's very, they had some good experts in, and it's playing out really well.
That makes me so happy to hear that. Anytime I hear from a medical professional being like, I give a thumbs up for this part, I'm like, oh, good. Because we all kind of do this in such a fast-paced environment, and we're all reading, and it's like there'll be a scene change and there's a bunch of medical stuff and you're kind of up late reading, Googling, you're like, I hope this is right. I have I have a lot of doctors in my life.
Yeah.
So one of my best friends is a doctor, and my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law. So I have people I can reach out to, but you don't always get answers right away. And then we're kind of in shooting things, and you're like, is this right?
Is this right? Right. And that's a very niche area. So no, it's fun. It was great to see you and Amanda in those storylines. There's some very dramatic scenes, and just the coordination of care that had the extenuating circumstances, and it was fun to watch that play out. Like, you guys did such a great job.
Thank you.
We haven't really seen them be able to work together like this in very small amounts, but nothing where they're really collaborating, and May is finding a reason, and Faith in working together. So I really hope we get more of that and less of like face masks and
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And I've always argued on our show, I'm like, I think people can handle the medical stuff. I mean, Dr. Quinn, that was an intense show. People were passing away on her table. I would watch that as a 7-year-old. So I think we can take steps in that direction, and still keep it family friendly and positive at the same time. But I think we can raise the stakes a bit. So I was thrilled because I've been wanting that for so many years. And we've had pockets, and we've had moments, and we've had some intense things happen, but generally it's wrapped up in an episode. It's not something that's super chronic or ongoing. So yeah, I'm really thrilled. And it was really nice to get the feedback. I've had so many DMs and messages from people who were saying, I feel seen, or as the mother of somebody with diabetes, this is really interesting to me. And that means a lot. Anytime that you do something and you feel like it's hit home, or it's a reflection of something for people watching. That's important.
And the discovery of insulin is really a celebration. And so it's about how these people went from not being able to live to the expectation is that, the opening last episode opens up with Nathan and Jack playing baseball together. That's the goal for these kids, is that they're back at their regular life and doing the things they want to do. Their favorite things. That's the goal. And it's still the goal.
It is still the goal. And Peter was really good about this. We had, and shout out to our props team who actually came up with a bunch of the original articles. So when we were opening the articles, oftentimes it'll be a coloring book. So if you keep flipping, you'll see Disney's Tarzan on one page, because you just need pages to fill. But they actually filled these pages with actual the medical history and the articles of the discovery. So when we were reading through this, these were the true articles, and Peter was really good about reminding us like this is a death sentence. You know, at this stage when you get this news, it's not just like, oh no, we're gonna be in the hospital a lot these days. It was a death sentence.
Yep.
So that was how intense it was.
Right. Yeah.
And then of course it changes as we progress, and it's just, you know, thank goodness little Jack is living in this time period, not 10 years earlier, right? So
or even 6 months earlier.
even 6 months. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Had been 6 months earlier. He would have missed the window. And that was the difference. It went from nobody had any insulin to insulin. So, and Eli Lilly is manufacturing, large manufacturing by 1923. So, it's crazy. We'd never get that nowadays, by the way, but we'd never get that fast to turn around. But
Really?
Yes, exactly.
Wow. I really felt it in that moment in episode 10. Like, I loved how they decided to leave us all just kind of hanging there with Elizabeth after Faith gives her the news, and she's like, but there's no cure. And then it just kind of like, we all had to sit in that moment so that we all knew just how big of a deal this was. Wow. Yeah. So impactful.
That was a really fun scene. So we shot that, and then we had to match kind of that going into episode 11. But that one was interesting because it was written in a way, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Kevin had the final line in that scene, and we kept changing it because it wasn't quite working well. And then the way that we made it land on Elizabeth and stay with her, like that wasn't what was initially scripted. So we worked through that one quite a bit, and we tried different wording, and because we just knew this was the impact, this was the moment, it had to land perfectly. So we really did our due diligence in trying to make sure that it landed right. And there was a lot of joking going on. I honestly, I'll have to ask Kevin. I can't remember. Again, like pregnancy brain. Like I have very fractured memories from this season.
As you should.
Being tired.
Understandable.
But he asked a question that we took out. Like there was some funny wording and very funny. Oh yeah, what do you mean? He had a line in that moment saying, "What do you mean?" And we're all making jokes because it was like the Justin Bieber song. What do you mean? Anyway, I think it was like the last scene we had shot for that week, and it was very late at night, and everyone was delirious, so we were all singing that, and then being like, "Guys, we have to make this work."
I need the Justin Bieber version of that scene right now.
I'm like, well, that's the song we need to use.
The levity, that's the song you should use. Yeah, might be expensive to get those rights, though. I don't think Bieber's cheap to play.
But it did. You hit it, and it was great the way that scene actually played out because of the levity of that and where you were at. You had nothing to offer, so
nothing to offer.
You know, May and Faith are both there to offer nothing.
Yeah,
it's and you think that doesn't happen anymore, but that's not the case. That's still true. When those conversations have to happen where we don't have anything to offer, and you know,
and you can't even in that moment say it's okay because it's not.
It's not.
Right? It's not. And as a friend, that's your job, and you can't do that. So yeah, there's like a level of emptiness. You're totally right about that. That's really hard to think about in a dynamic in a friendship like that.
Ooh, it is. But again, I think it was the right thing. Because you're right. I think the audience can handle a little bit more.
I think you're right. Yep.
I actually think most people crave it.
I think so too. And it's not going to be reckless. We were very understanding of the fandom at this point. That's what's so nice about our show is we've been with the Hardys for so many years. We kind of anticipate the reaction. Sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we try things and we're like, ooh, this may land, this may not. But I did have faith in doing this. I'm like, I think this is handled well. And I think that, I think the Hardys can take this. I think that this will work out.
It adds depth when the drama is well done, and that there's you have light moments, and then you also have these very poignant and emotional. You got to bring the emotions to the screen, and this story is very emotional in depth, but yet it's still a celebration of life.
Yes.
So
yeah, absolutely.
There's hope in Hope Valley.
Sure is.
Or maybe Cape Fullerton for a little while.
Cape Fullerton. It's so
There's
true.
always hope in Hope Valley. So I want to talk a little bit about Faith and Fiona, because we did get some Fiona this season. And how is it to have Kayla back?
So nice. First of all, I could not be happier for Kayla Wallace. She's such a good friend. She's so talented. Just seeing her career take off the way it has. I've watched every episode of Landman.
Yeah.
And she's incredible. She's just so great. And it's so fun that she's able to do that, and that she still has a home in Hope Valley. You know, it's interesting. Fiona and Kayla are kind of on a similar trajectory,
Yeah.
off discovering themselves, doing big things, doing amazing things with amazing people, but Hope Valley's still home, which I kind of love for Fiona and Kayla. And I love that our friendship as characters is so strong, and that Faith will call her out when she's like, I think you're lying. I don't think you're in love. That was meaningful. That was really cool. I didn't actually anticipate that going into the season. I wasn't sure how much availability Kayla even had, or I knew that we wanted her back, but you know, you never know for sure. And yeah, just it's really nice to have such a long-standing friendship where you can tell each other the truth.
Yeah.
You know, and as women friends, right? Like when you have that strong friendship, it's wonderful to watch that same thing that you do with your friends play out on screen.
Yeah. Yes. And I do love, you know, love is tricky. I've always said that in real life. Love is tricky and fickle and interesting and messy. And it's fun to see that play out on our show. And we've had so many different versions of love, newfound love, second chance love on our show. There's so many different iterations of love. And this one, you know, I think Fiona has a pretty smile and she'll be like, I'm doing this. And a lot of people will be like, yay, that's good for you. But it takes someone with you know, a true connection to that character to be like, hang on, that's not right for you. So yeah, that was a fun little, that was a fun interaction to play out mid-season. I was super excited that she got to come back. I hope she continues to come back for these trips home, you know. But she's busy. She's back in Fort Worth now. She's back shooting with Mr. Billy Bob, and we're all so thrilled for her.
As are we. That scene between Faith and Fiona where Fiona is asking Faith to stand up at her wedding for her. And I just loved that moment where Faith was able to say, of course, I'll always support you, but like, are you sure? Are you sure this is right for you? And I just really, like you just said, it's so wonderful to see those relationships played out on screen. What did you like, or how did you approach that? How did you approach playing that?
We worked through that one quite a bit. I mean, our rehearsal time is pretty short. That's just the nature of television. We get the scripts. I do a big read through of the script early on when we first get it, and there's a million changes. So I usually don't touch the script again until we're really close to shooting. Usually the night before, I'll go back to that scene because I don't like looking at, like, my brain starts to memorize right away, and I don't like to memorize things if it's going to change.
Right.
And that one changed quite a bit. The wording changed quite a bit. So I was happy that I left that one till the last minute, but it was involved. It kind of grew. That scene grew, if I remember correctly, from its original version. Really? And it was just fun getting to play with Kayla again. And she had just come back from working on Landman. So I could almost see a bit of the Rebecca intensity there, because I could see that often happens when you play a role for a long time and then you jump into something new. You've changed as an actor. You've learned new techniques, and you carry your characters with you always. I firmly believe that. So it was really cool getting to see her come back with almost a new energy. And we worked through it together. There was a lot of lines that were like, is this working? And we took our time really kind of massaging the scene to make sure that we were hitting all the points that we wanted to hit. And it was just so fun, because it's so rewarding working through a scene with a friend and someone you respect and that you know so well and you've worked with for so many years. And sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes you go on to a new project, you work with new people, and some people don't like to talk about it. They're like, no, we'll just work it out in the scene and just don't talk about it. It was nice. It was a nice process and a meaningful scene. And yeah, also so heartbreaking. There was so much heartbreak in saying, of course I'll stand up for you, but I don't want to, but of course I will. Like, that's a tough a judgment call. And I
Yeah.
think it's something that hopefully people can, hopefully it resonates with people, because I think we all have interesting dynamics with women in our lives, and marriage is tough. Sometimes
Mhm.
people make choices and it might not be what you expected.
Right.
Right.
I think your point that that Fiona came back with a different energy, but it really fit because she'd been off doing the suffragette movement, and so
Yes,
you did kind of expect a little bit of a change after she'd done something so passionate.
absolutely. Yeah.
And it was kind of the show is Wind Calls the Heart. And so we're often talking about hearts being called. So it was very, for drama, it was great to see this discussion about, I don't think your heart's being called. Like,
Right.
honestly, it was like,
Yeah.
I don't think this is when your heart is being called or where your heart is being called,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yes, I love that dynamic in the setting of this is Wind Calls the Heart, and Faith was literally calling out Fiona, I will always be your friend. I will always stand by your side, but I don't think your heart is being called.
Yeah. Yeah. That is exactly what it was.
That was
So,
beautiful.
so nice. So, but yeah, we had pockets of real intensity this
Yeah.
season that I really liked. It just feels like the show has matured in its own way. And it's very fun to compare that to where we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. A very rewarding experience as always.
Yeah, and I think it's fun too to see characters in different ways. So we weren't
Mhm.
just seeing Faith as Dr. Faith. We get to
Right.
see her as friend. We get to see her as aunt a little bit this season. So it was a really, really fun balance. It felt more balanced than maybe other seasons, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
speaking of Faith, that scene, the first day of school scene,
Oh,
speaking of Lily, where Jack gives Lily his
metal.
medal.
Yes.
Oh gosh, that was so cute and heartfelt for sure. And it felt
Mhm.
like we were watching through the eyes of Faith and Elizabeth. We were watching kind of like the heart of Hope Valley happening
Yeah.
with the kids.
And the future. Yeah. I mean, I strongly believe if this show continues, there'll be a One Calls the Heart next generation. And you'll have those little guys. Yeah, that was I was so happy to play that out. I knew from season 11 going forward that the kids would be entering school the next year. So I was really hoping for something juicy and fun to get
Yeah.
to play. And I've been there. I remember when I dropped my daughter off for her first day of preschool, just going to the car and crying because you're like, they don't need me. They're gonna have their own lives. Oh my gosh. And that happens. I think that happens to every parent. And it was really cute to get to play that out. And then yeah, Highland and Chloe get along so well. They're such cute little buddies and they do such a good job together.
Yeah. And you know what? I think it was even more impactful because Faith has been there all along. So like she knew about the medal because she was there.
Yeah.
So like
Yes.
just that moment having such an impact on everybody was really fun. Do you have any wishes for future seasons with Faith and Lily? Like what's something you would love to see happen?
Ooh. I really love working with Chloe. And it's just so interesting because I feel like I've been through so much of that in my real life. So parenting and having your kids grow up and challenges at school or what have you. I hope that continues. I really love when Lily asks Faith questions, poignant questions that make her reflect. And I think that's a very Faith thing to have to reflect. I hope that we get more. I truly hope that there's a lot more Lily Faith dynamic stuff playing out in future seasons. Cause I know I was reminded often on social media it was short-lived in 12 for a number of reasons. But I'm trying to think. I mean, we've done so many kid storylines in the school over the years. It's kind of fun to see them not repeated, but you know, Opal was always the cute little girl. She lost her teddy bear. There were things like that happened back in the day. In a way, it's fun to mirror these storylines to be like, oh, we've been through this before, and those callbacks to the past. Because obviously, I always say that those callbacks are so rewarding for the Hardys when you have like a legacy character coming back or something with a lot of payoff because we've all been a part of this journey for so many years. I really love that. I do a lot of the little Lily scenes do remind me of the Opal scenes. And I always say that because of course now all the kids have grown up, they're driving cars, they're graduating school. It's so crazy. But it's cute to kind of hold a new little kid's hand and be like, you weren't even born when we started doing this show. And like, how cool is that? So I hope it continues. I hope the kids continue to grow. I love their storylines at the school. I'm so happy that there were more school scenes this year. I love that. The kids are so great. They're so talented. They're also hardworking. I just more of Hope Valley. That's just kind of what I hope for. I just hope it continues. And you know, each season's different, and obviously there's a lot going on, a lot of characters and a lot of storylines. So the balancing act is a bit crazy sometimes, but you know, I think we're a town, we're a force, we're a group of people who love working together, and so much of that is reflected on the show, I think, and I just want more of it.
Yeah.
You know, because Faith is so, I mean, she's really woven into this community as friends, as a community member, and then as their doctor. She is their doctor, and and Faith has been there since season 2, right? So
That's right.
So it's woven you into some storylines in a super fun way that even when Max came back as Tom, you're able to like quickly, everyone was like, oh, Tom and Faith totally know each other.
Yeah, I know.
I love him. He was a mess.
His wife. And then that's when Jack took her out for dinner to thank her. Yeah, like that's what's so cool.
That was a little
so often when you're acting, you're pulling at strings, you're inventing histories in your head because you're like, okay, she went to this school and like I'll make this up in my mind and then I'll deliver a scene. But on our show, we actually get to recall our true history in a way because we have through this, right?
That was like 9 years previously.
Yeah.
So it is true history.
It's total history. So you don't really have to act, like you have to act, but you're not recalling nothing. You're recalling images that exist, which is not the case for so many performances, which is a real luxury because so often on our show, we all sit together in between scenes and everyone gets along so well. And it's fun because you're like, remember when that house was yellow? And do you remember when there was a fire? Do you remember when just memories, pockets of memories all over the place? And then when you do your scenes, you talk about Jack, for instance, or the medal, and you are recollecting images and scenes from a decade ago.
Yeah,
which is cool. It gives you this visual in your mind as you're performing that is often not empty, but you're filling it with your own version. And versus us, we have memories from
You have shared memories, and
totally.
Faith literally took care of Tom in the hospital.
Yes. There was that fan mashup I posted on my story of and it's escaping me who made it now, but they deserve a shout out of they took the scenes of Faith and Jack and then the scenes of Faith nursing little Jack back to health and just spliced it all together. You know, they're a decade apart and it almost made me cry because it's just like, oh my gosh, this history is so real. It feels so real to me that it is just so cool. It's the absolute luxury of playing a character for so long.
What do you think about the fandom shipping Faith and Tom?
I love that. I actually really do. It was so funny when I remember when I read that, it was not written to be lovey-dovey in any way. It was just sort of like, we're old buddies from the past. How interesting is it to see one another? You should and then Faith asks him to dance at the end because it's the 20s now. That was kind of
right.
But I know what I'm getting into with this show. Whenever they place a single female and a single male together in a scene, people will ship it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right? Exactly. You just know if there's a scene with two single characters, people will talk. So I was aware of that. And as we played it, I was like, oh, this would be so funny. It would be interesting because he's grown so much. I think old Tom, old Faith, never in a million years. But I think they both matured in such a way that it's at least interesting. And I think in that moment, I still don't believe Faith is ready for anything serious. I really don't. But I do think that was a fun moment of like, this could be. You could be with someone, or just like enjoy company,
Right.
Faith, come on,
Right.
you're always so serious. So yeah, that was great. I loved having Max there. And I've known Max. I came up auditioning on the Vancouver circuit alongside Max as teenagers. So I've known him for years. We actually did before One Calls the Heart, we played boyfriend girlfriend on an episode of iZombie, which was an old CW show. And we were like rough kid, like I can't remember if we were doing drugs or something. I don't know. We were like very weird versions of ourselves in another universe. So yeah, we've known each other forever, and we had a lot of fun doing those scenes. And just such a cool callback to like, do you remember 10 years or 11 years ago or whatever it was?
You're on iZombie.
Do you have any idea that we would still, like 10 years later, would be playing these characters? Like, obviously not.
Right. That's crazy.
I think that one is very much, people would be very open to Tom coming around again. Just to
it would be interesting. And it's not outside of the realm of possibility. I mean, he's Jack's uncle. He has an interest in seeing Jack grow up. I think it's a great legacy character. So you never know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He just comes through town and they hang out. Like, he doesn't have to be a big romantic.
Totally.
Whatever.
He just opened Faith's eyes a little bit to like, let's go dinner. And Faith being like, oh yeah, I could go out to dinner with a man. That's okay. People might talk, but it's okay.
We'll talk about anything.
People might talk.
People will talk. People will talk.
It's a small town. Florence will be on it.
I always think back when Faith started seeing when Paul Green was still on the show back years ago, and I'm just like racking my brain trying to remember what season that was, 5, 6, when they started seeing each other, Carson and Faith. I don't know, but there was that moment where we either kissed or we were in the middle of the town, and then we looked to the side and it was Flomo. Like, I think of them kind of as Hardys, because in a way, whenever, like I said, when two single characters are together in a scene, there's going to be people going watching, and it's like a FOMO reaction in my mind where it's not, they're trying to reserve judgment, but they're also like, what is happening here?
They're not really reserving judgment.
Not really. Yeah, not really.
Because even like Nathan and Elizabeth have a moment where they're like trying to go on a little horse date, and they're like in the thing, and they're, but what if somebody sees us?
Totally. And that's so true to small town life too, right? Which I just love. I love that dynamic isn't lost in Hope Valley, because my aunt, who's actually visiting me right now, my aunt is a dentist in a small town, Ontario, which also so happens to be the small town that Kevin McGarry grew up in. We have the overlap. So I spent my summers in this town. So I always joke with Kevin, like we would have absolutely passed each other as kids, just not knowing that we would be on a show together one day in this small town. But my aunt was just telling me a story last night. She's like, I've done yoga with the same guy for a decade at the little yoga studio, but there's a Pilates studio that opened, but I don't want him to see that I'm going there. So I drive the roundabout way and I wait, and I just make sure that he's not going to see me walk in. And I'm like, that's such a Hope Valley thing. That's absolutely how our characters are in Hope Valley. Like everyone's always kind of keeping tabs on each other.
Yep. And everyone can see you.
Everyone can see you, because I can't remember what season it was where we all step out, and I think it was the traffic jam, and it's like we all step out of our places of work and we all start calling at each other like, what's going on? What's the noise? We're all within earshot, which is fun.
Everyone's like, it's noisy, and they're all yelling. Nathan's trying to
and
no such thing as a traffic cop yet.
We had the traffic jam and we've never had traffic since.
No, just that one day.
The mythical things that happen in Hope Valley.
All right. So we've talked a little bit about future Faith, but is there a part of her backstory or maybe her personality that you would love to explore more?
Ooh. Yeah, well, years ago, Faith had a run-in with her dad where she's had some issues. She doesn't have a mom. And we know she grew up with brothers. So I've played out some of that over the phone over the years, but those people have never come to town or anything. So that would be interesting for her history to actually show up in town. That's the funny thing is you almost forget because you've done so many seasons as a character. You're like, what have we been through? What haven't we done? Because like I always say, a lot of life has been lived on this
Yeah.
show. I do think I would love to see her find her person someday. I'm also not in a rush for it. I think she's got enough going on, and I think she's very capable on her own 2 feet. And it has been very nice to see Hickam and May, that love blossom. So like it happens here and there with other people, and I think her time will come one day. I don't know, but it would be nice to see her open to that because she can be very closed off sometimes. Just like, nope, we're busy. There's a lot going on. Busy with Lily, busy with work.
Yeah.
Those softer moments when someone is like, no, Faith, come on. I like that when she's a little out of her comfort zone. I like when she's pushed that direction. So it'd be fun to do more of that. Being the doctor, you guys were mentioning a bit previously, is such an interesting role because you're almost entrusted with people's secrets in a way. I feel like I have such a really interesting connection with every actor on this show, but also my character has such an interesting connection with every other character because they come in. I mean, I'm thinking back the scene with Cavan this season was super short, but that was one of the most rewarding little nuggets of a scene because he just came in and he's such a good actor and just sort of spilled the beans like this is what's wrong, and then she gets to be a sounding board for all these people. And I love that. I think back, I remember there's a scene with Chris McNally when he wasn't sure if he was being a good dad figure for little Jack like seasons ago, and then Faith is often just the source of encouragement for characters like, no, you can do it, it's not always medical, it's often almost like a counselor or like a life coach in a way. It feels like, and it's very specific and it's not something they usually talk about outside of the doctor's office. So that's why the infirmary is such a special little hub for me, because I sit there and I think back to all these amazing one-on-one scenes I've had with so many incredible actors over the years. And even Loretta and Hrothgar when that whole illness situation was taking place, and they're both so amazing. Loretta's such a great actor. Just so much drama has unraveled there, and then it's the place where people fall apart, but then we put them back together and send them back out into Hope Valley.
So speaking of the infirmary, under things like Faith's infirmary, or possibly, like, I almost think it needs to transition a bit to more of a clinic than an infirmary.
And you know what? It has. I remember about 3 to 4 years ago, we actually the infirmary sign changed. It now says doctor because it is now considered the doctor's office. So you're right, it is more of a clinic. I would hope that we can expand it a little. And we have, like, over the years, we've kind of changed the setup. So now we have the big curtains. We didn't used to have those. So we can have actual individual rooms. It is actually, if you've been on the set, which I know you guys have, it is quite a... Have you not? You have.
You need to get to set. Figure that out. But with you, Faith was promised an X-ray machine. Where's that? And she clearly is going to need lab equipment. Like,
that's right.
She's going to need ability to do test electrolytes and glucose and all kinds of things. She needs an equipment glow up.
100%.
I'm advocating for
maybe a nice handsome doctor will have to come into town.
Hey, a specialist maybe
to like train her or help set the thing up, and they can go for dinner.
There's a lot of room for exploration in this area. I agree. The doctor's office can use a glow up. Absolutely.
It needs an equipment glow up. Like, it doesn't have an X-ray machine still. And that was actually discussed at one point.
It's been discussed. And you know what? I've brought that up multiple times because I'm a big advocate for the X-ray machine. I've been saying that for years. And I know they've looked into it. I think there's a bunch of reasons. We'll see what happens going forward. But if there's a glow up, there has to be an X-ray machine.
She needs lab equipment, but
or the illusion of one anyway.
An illusion of one.
Yeah. I imagine it's the type of thing that's probably really expensive, hard to come by. How do you photograph it? Where do we put it? And there's a lot of logistics on our show. And what I was going to say is the doctor's office is actually one of the bigger sets on our show. Our like little houses down the street in Hope Valley are really tiny. So it is tough to shoot in a lot of those spaces because we're really cramped. We have to fit all the cameras in there. And then most people have to sit outside of the house to watch the monitors. So we're being directed. The director's usually not in our vicinity when we're actually shooting. The infirmary is sometimes the exception because it's big enough that people can kind of tuck in behind. But yeah, glow up for sure. A medical glow up. I think we need to. I think the story calls for it now.
And she needs lab equipment in order to, like, how do you get Elizabeth and Nathan and Jack and Allie back?
Yeah.
Yeah, in order to get them back, the clinic needs to be able to provide the care and
Absolutely.
and the insulin. So so it's not just the insulin anymore. It's like has to be able to do the monitoring and handle an illness or a change.
And Peter DeLuise was on. We were talking about that at the end of season 12, and we had, I think I have a photograph somewhere. I'll have to post it if I find it. But we had a genuine ice box from the 1910s. So we actually did. He went out of his way to kind of go out there and be like, we need different things in here now, and it was it was functional. It was very cool. So, and there were some equipment pieces. I'm sure it didn't make it on screen. But there were some changes happening towards the end of 12 that make me think like, okay, I like to hope that the network, that everyone can see what we did at the end of 12 and that we can do more of that going forward. I really hope so. And I think the show can balance itself quite nicely because there can be the drama, the high stakes, and that can carry forward. But there's so much levity on our show as well, and positivity, and so many cute opportunities, moments, kids, that I think we can balance it. So I hope we've been able to kind of prove that in a way. That's my hope.
Right. I think she needs like a little incubator so she can do strep tests. So very kid specific, right? And they can, those little old fashioned incubators, like that doing strep tests is like so kid, like every family kid can relate to that, and this is a small town with a thriving school. Like it would be, there's just some very basic things that she needs a little glow up in there.
I agree. I would also love, this is just like my wish list of loves. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Full disclosure, I've read nothing from this season. I don't know the storylines yet. So this is just me like dreaming. I don't know. Grasping at straws. But I would love to see even like a kid who's graduated school and maybe left come back as a nurse. Or maybe Molly goes and gets her nursing credentials because she's been an assistant now for a number of years in the infirmary. She's been there for so much that it would be fun to, invest in the infirmary and going forward. But I think we are. I think that even the end of season 12 is that investment. I do think that.
I think season 12 is going to force an investment.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because how do you get Jack back if you can't support him?
Right. And you can't just completely let that storyline,
No, that was, I remember having that discussion with Aaron early on in the season where it's like, if we go there, you can't just be like, and solved. Moving on. This has to be with us. Like, this is a journey.
Can't always be in the journal. Jack got his insulin, or whatever.
Good. And never mention it ever again. Like, that can't happen.
No, but also it needs to it's all going well. Like that was the insulin allowed people to live their lives and do the things they wanted to do. And like, even how do you show that as normal and it's going well? Like that's got to be part of it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And we left it where there were 9 or 10 other people potentially coming through town for this as well. So that opens up those storylines as well.
Yes.
So, yeah, we're all in on that. Is there a character in the show that you wish Faith had some more scenes with?
Oh, I just love working with absolutely everybody. And especially when you get a chance to do one-on-one scenes with people that you're not, that aren't, normally in your little bubble. I really love doing that scene with Kevin because usually anytime I've worked with Kevin so much, but it's usually with Pascal. Yeah. And like you're dealing with a dynamic duo and they're great and they're funny and it's amazing, but it's really fun to break away from the norm and just get to do something one-on-one. I'm trying to think. I've worked with everybody and I just more of it. I think that there's been some interesting moments with Faith and Gowan over the years in passing. And he's always been such an interesting character to me. He's always said that he's the guy who used to just play the bass on our show because he was just that. He was shrouded in darkness. Obviously, he's changed a lot over the years. But he's always interesting because he's always hiding things. He's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I the fact that Kayla, I still get to do scenes with her, even though she's doing other things. I'm like everyone. I'm kind of at a loss for who I would want because I just more of anyone. If you threw anyone at me, I would be more than happy because there's not one person on the show that I don't like doing scenes with.
Yeah, and I think as the town doctor, Faith gets to have a more variety, right? You're not just always stuck with the same few people. But I will say almost everybody mentions wanting to work with Martin and having scenes with Gowan. Almost everybody.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You guys have such a good insight into our show because we don't all sit around talking like this in depth with one another about where things are going. But that is interesting because, like I said, he's played the bass for so many years. Yeah. He's been a bit of a lone wolf in a way.
Yeah.
And he's had connections, of course, but he's still a mystery.
Yeah.
To me.
We even have our own like things that we want and have posted recently, and he commented on it.
What are some examples? I'm so curious.
We love Mean Henry, but we love his like strength and his he has so much knowledge, like business knowledge. So we love Mean Henry for good. Like when he's like leaning in and being like, but it's for the good of the town.
I love that.
Mean Henry for bad. Mean Henry for good is her thing.
Yeah.
Also, like, can he have the big blue coat on? And can the bowler hat come out?
The coat, yes. Classic. I think he did have it on once this season, but
for the pony bluffing.
We all kind of loved to hate Henry, and then we've watched him go through this very, very long redemption arc, where he has these beautiful scenes, but they're very not what we were used to. So I think bringing back some of that now that he's hopefully settled a little bit more inside, bringing back some of those pieces of his personality, the badass Henry, bring back.
Very smart.
Yeah, we got to see it a little bit this scene when Henry was with Bill and they were, tightening the thumb screws on McGinty a little bit.
Yeah.
Just I'm just here to hang out. And then he was like, but you're going to agree to this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'd love to see more of that. Is there a medical type of storyline you'd like to do now that you kind of got something with some real depth to it?
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm very invested in the Little Jack storyline. I obviously want that to continue. I do find it interesting when I grew up, I had a lot of medical phobias growing up because I spent a lot of time in the hospital as a very little kid and then had some phobias and I still don't love needles. I'm a lot better now. Obviously, after you've had 3 kids and have gone through that, things change. But I would love to see maybe a character come in who's really afraid of medicine, or maybe they had something happen to them and they don't want to be there. And then Faith has to really earn their trust. I think that would be interesting.
Oh, that would be really good. That is common. That's a common thing in healthcare. So people could really relate to that.
It is common. Like I always say, I still to this day, if I have to get blood drawn, I always ask to lie down. I'm almost always fine, but I used to faint a lot as a kid.
Same. Yes.
And it would be, and we've done that because I think who was it who fainted? Javen. He fainted years ago with Faith and Carson doing something when he was there for a school day to come learn about medicine. But every time I get my blood drawn, people are like, "Oh, it's so common," and that's the first thing they say. They're like, "Oh, people lying down, it's so common. People faint all the time," and I know we've done it kind of in a funny way, like seasons ago with a kid, but maybe to explore that and people who are little. And we've had, I think it was Gowan at one point was like, "I don't want you to be my doctor." So there's been pushback in the past, but it would be fun to deal with like a phobia.
Yeah, that would be great. And so many people could really relate to that. And when they actually need care.
Yes.
Yeah. And how do you work through that to provide the care to them?
Yeah. And I think Faith has learned so much. She softened up so much and she's learned so much from being a parent that she could apply some of those new techniques to helping someone through that.
Yeah.
So
I think that would be a great storyline. And and you have the cast there, like the cast is fantastic, and you have a lot of choices to maybe go through something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be fun. Okay, so we've played this with you before, but it's been a while. So do you mind playing our favorites game again?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so maybe it's what is your newest favorite movie or something you've been watching a lot?
Ooh, newest favorite movie. I don't know. I'll say Landman. Shout out to Kayla. It's a TV series, but I love Landman.
All right, that was my next question. TV series. So you answered that.
I haven't been able to sit through the full movie. I mean, with the kids, I do. We've been watching A Bug's Life recently. That's probably my favorite Disney movie.
Yeah.
So let's go back. A Bug's Life movie because I'm in the thick of parenthood right now. And then Landman series.
Yeah.
Landman for the series. A Bug's Life.
I have
iconic.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Such a good movie. I used to skate to because I was a figure skater growing up. I had a solo to the
when they're going marching and they're getting everything done.
And its jokes are so funny. Anyway,
so funny. And
underrated Disney movie.
That little Dot, she's just
so good.
Gosh. Yeah. I don't know if my youngest has seen that yet. I might have to.
It's so good because there's just as much. The jokes are totally aimed for the parents, and then the storyline's aimed for the kids. It's great.
I'm just gonna say
an installment, and it's kind of sad because I think it was worthy.
If our whole family is together, the likelihood of somebody saying "I'm a beautiful butterfly" is real high.
Oh, I love him. Oh, I'm beautiful. My son who's 2 and my daughter who's 5, they like to do the "you're fired, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired." It's like, but again, it's like a reference they're gonna say out in the real world, and people are gonna be like, "What? What are you talking about?" Like they think it's the little wood bugs. Yeah. You're fired. I don't know. I'm really deep into A Bug's Life right now. We've watched it a number of times.
We could probably have this conversation forever, but Heimlich is the giant fat caterpillar. He's got the tiny wings.
And then when he gets his wings at the end, and he's like, "I can fly," but they have to carry him.
It's so good. It's so good. That's a great movie, by the way.
Yeah,
Landman's a great series. I pounded that out. We're a big Taylor Sheridan household here, so we just
good.
Finished 1923. The second season just finished up. So
good. Yeah,
I'm behind an all-night TV series because kids, but
yeah, I hear you. I know Landman was the exception because it came the premiere date was actually the date I had the baby. I think it was day after, like right in there, like right in that. So I told Kayla, I'm like, this is going to be the first show I sit down to watch with a newborn. I'm just going to sit and watch the whole thing. Every week I tuned in. I couldn't wait. It was so great.
So good.
So cool to see her on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh, we're so excited for Kayla. Okay, so in all your free time, what kind of a hobby have you been doing lately? Anything?
Well, my daughter is now doing her own Lego sets. I've been waiting for this day. I love Lego. I love puzzles. I love crafts.
Yeah.
I love using my hands and making things when I can. And she can now do her own sets. She's almost completed her first like big set, the Gabby's Dollhouse.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of her. She's done very well. She's 5. So yeah, I'm just so happy that we can both sit down and plug away because before she was just a little too young or she'd lose interest, but she can really do it now. So I love Lego probably too much. My whole closet, the whole upper shelf of my closet is all Lego pieces. I've got like the Disney castle, bit nerdy, but I love
no such thing as too many Legos. There is no such thing as too many Legos.
They're so cool, and they just keep coming out with cooler things to build.
Have you done the botanicals? The flowers?
Yes, I have.
Those are really cool looking.
Yeah, not kid sets. There's
so many interesting. Like, what have I done? The bonsai tree. I did the whole one of their bigger bouquets, and I put those in a vase. Unbelievable. There's a really cool Jane Goodall mini set that I did. Anyway, I could talk about this. I've done so many. It's actually
come to the Lego store with me at the Mall of America. There's so much there.
I bet it's bigger than our Lego store. Yeah.
It's good. I love that. There's so much there, and there's giant Lego things built right there. And then
It's
there's
like
a roller.
downtown Disney too. There's the Lego store there that I could just stay in there. I have to put boxes away because I'm like, realistically, I've got so many. That's what Pascal messaged me. She's like, how do you do so much Lego and there's so many little hands in your house? I'm like, very good point. But I'll fight for it. I'll be like, I need this time. If the baby's asleep and my youngest goes to bed early, I'll be like, Viola, we have like an hour. Like, let's go. So we're just starting that. So yeah, it's super fun.
Super fun. Super cute. That's a great one. Okay, so music. What are you listening to? What do you like? Do you have a favorite song?
I listen to whatever my kids listen to. I don't argue with them. I'm not one of those parents who's going to force them to listen to what I want to listen to because I had that growing up, but my mom always had the radio and the news on CBC. And I just dreamed of listening to music. So when my kids have requests, like I'll listen to what they want to listen to. And right now, my son is he's really into hockey. He loves the national anthem. So he requests "O Canada." So we just drive in our car to "O Canada" again and again and again and again. He sings it, but I think it's adorable. So
It is.
"O Canada" is like a big bop in our house currently.
That's the best. But when you go to a hockey game and they play it's so cool in the arena.
Yeah, it's so cool.
The energy.
He went to his first professional NHL game recently, and he was just mesmerized because they're singing "O Canada" and they're passing the flag around, and he was just like, oh. So we get in the car, he goes, "O Canada, Mama, O Canada, O Canada." So we're listening to the national anthem. We probably look crazy driving around like full blast, but that's okay. It's fun.
I love that.
Now, does your daughter get annoyed with that, or is she on board?
She likes "O Canada" too. She'll sing along.
Perfect.
She speaks French. She's in French school, so she'll sing it in both languages. So it's a loud car.
As it should be. As it should be.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for taking time out of your morning to spend with us.
Thank you so much. This was so fun catching up.
It was, yes, we always love to talk to you. And we can't wait to talk season 13.
I know, super soon. I am thrilled. I can't wait to go back. And I think the first thing I texted back when we had an email chain going about season 13 was like, I'm just so excited Faith will have a waistline again.
And Barbara will have to be working on those costumes.
I can't end the show on a season where I have no waistline. It just gets too crazy. I'm very excited to fit my costumes again. Thrilled.
But
is there a costume that you couldn't wear for last season that you'd like?
Yeah, there were a few. Yeah. There were definitely a few. And like we've done the adjustment so many times. Barbara is such a pro, as you guys know. Oh my gosh, and I feel bad. Like when I told her, because I was like, I'm done having kids after 2, and then 3 was a big surprise. And then I was just like, I'm sorry. I know how much work this is going to be, because it was just constant adjustments, especially at the end. Like I was pinning things together by the last day. She had measured me on the Friday, and then I had 1 week of work left, and I showed up on the Monday, and it's just water weight, and you just puffed out at the end. Nothing fit again. She's like, I'm going to go back and cut everything. I'm like, you know what? We're going to make do. So I was pinning. I had just pins and safety pins, and we were tucking safety pins in. I was like, we're just going to make it work, because it's not worth like redoing everything for whatever it was, 4 more days of work. But she's a legend. She's wonderful. And her mom does all the cutting and sewing, and is so thankful. But is there anything I want to fit again? Yeah, like everything. Most of my clothing, I have a small version and a large version at this point, because sometimes if I have a double, the double will wear the normal one, and I'll wear the maternity one. But yeah, there's a few jackets that I miss. Like when I'm pregnant, there's just a few jackets that never fit correctly. So you just kind of put them aside, so that it'll be fun to go for my fitting and be like, yes, I get these back. Like I've got a long red, like very old. I think I've had it since season 2. My burgundy red suede sort of trench. That one.
Yeah. That can come back out for season 13.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be jazzed. I'll be like, new wardrobe.
It'll feel so nice. Well, I was glad they let you sit down a lot at the end of the season. As somebody that's had 3 babies, I know.
It made it so much easier. And also it weirdly worked, because there was so much Faith had to pour over so many textbooks and do so much research that she, like, I bought that going in, that like she will be over her desk and we're going to be sitting with the patient. So it was, I'm sure, strategic and deliberate in a certain way, but it also worked
Made
well.
sense. Yeah.
It did. It wasn't like we were all riding horses into the sunset. Like that would be a nightmare.
Right. No, but everybody's sitting at the table for the discussion of the
Yep.
diagnosis or what that meant. Those are just very real.
There were a lot of heart to hearts that had to happen, like sitting down, centered, focused. There was a lot that it really worked out for, that I don't think would have made sense standing. So very thankful for that.
Yeah.
Well, I think we just had a Minnesota goodbye, Julie. You're rubbing off
Okay.
on me. But thank you, Andrea, for being here. And thank you, everybody, for watching or listening. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you next time.
Yay. Thank you, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.